3 merino, 3 Corriedale, 3 long wool, 3 second shear, and 3 lambs. They have to be at the top of their game to take the top prize tonight. After that, the Trans-Tasman shearing test. Australia versus New Zealand. It doesn't get better than that. But the Aussies have won 5 in a row. Maybe tonight is the night that the Kiwis can get one back. After that, the open wool handling. Joel Henare is going for 8 Golden Shears titles in a row. Will that happen? Or will we have a brand new Golden Shears open wool handling champion? Then the big event, the open shearing final. Roland Smith has the chance to be the second most successful shearer at the Golden Shears tonight. Or will we see a new winner? Or will we see an international winner for the second time only in 60 years? Or what do you think, Masterton? Will we finally, for the first time, see a local winner? We will have to wait and see. Before we get going, there's a few things I have to touch on. Please take note of the fire exits. In a state of an emergency, please follow the directions of the wardens. To the tens of thousands watching online, ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa, no mai, haere mai ki whakaoriori. Welcome to Masterton, the home of the greatest shearing competition in the world. On behalf of Golden Shears, we wish to acknowledge the dignitaries here tonight, starting off with the Mayor of Masterton, Lynn Patterson. Welcome, Your Worship. We have local MP, Meka Whaitiri, MP for Ekaro Rāwhiti. Welcome, Meka. The National Party Agriculture spokesperson and MP for Bay of Plenty, Todd Muller. It's wonderful to have you here. We want to acknowledge, of course, shearing legend Sir David Fagan. And the Golden Shears wish to in particular welcome the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. Well, Masterton, I have a very special question for you. And I want you to take the opportunity to tell those watching around the world how excited you are. Are you ready for some shearing? I'm going to hand you over now to our commentators tonight, Tuma Mullins and Gerald Spain.
Good evening and welcome to the final of the Golden Shears 2020 right here in Masterton. You've just heard the welcome from our MC, Kieran McAnulty. And again, I'm really pleased to have my 2 guest commentators, co-collaborators, conspirators, whatever you want to call us, here in the green room to take you through this evening's program. But before I do, why don't we just I'd like to introduce you to Jack Fagan. Now, Jack is masterful, but anyway, Jack, you give the World Wide Web a bit of a précis on who you are, why you're here.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Jack Fagan. I'm from Tikawiti in the King Country of North Island, New Zealand. I travel the world doing these competitions. It's a lot of fun. You make a lot of good friends. And tonight, this is the big one, the Saturday night of Golden Shears 2020. So you never know, we could see some new champions, but we're going to see how it unfolds and hopefully coach you through the way with a bit of delightful commentary. But to my right, we have Digger Barn.
Yeah, evening everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with Mavis and Jack. Been coming down to Masterton probably close to 40 years, I suppose, competing. And they finally dragged me off the board and up into the commentary room. So hopefully I can just shed a bit of light on what some of the shearers are thinking, what they're going through, and keep you updated during the night.
Thank you very much. So, look, just a little bit from me, though. Digger's been a finalist here at Golden Shears. How many times, Digger?
9 times, I think I made the...
9 times finalist. To get out of the heats is a competition of its own. To just get out of the melee of all the competitors that are here is a big deal. So, Digger's now giving back, paying forward, whatever you want to call it, and great to have you here, Digger, and to enjoy your commentary. He's a little bit cheeky. He's been told he has to be good, but he tells it how it is, and that's how we like it. And of course, Jack Fagan, son of David, but Jack is forging his own pathway. All over the world he travels, and especially up in the Northern Hemisphere in Europe. So they're going to bring a different set of eyes. I'll just be the one to kind of referee in the middle. But we're just now starting to introduce the Golden Shears Trans-Tasman finalists. And this is sponsored by Lister Shearing. Lance Wardell, he's been with us for many decades, and we're so appreciative of Lance and the wonderful stuff that he does. Okay, so...
just butt in there, Mavis, I'll pull you up. I think you've...
Yes, I just see that.
This is the PGG circuit. So
Thank you, Digger.
Big plug out to our sponsors, PGG.
That's why you're here.
That's the National Shearing Circuit, and this is one of the hardest titles to win. You've got to travel around New Zealand to qualify to make the top 12, and we saw the top 12 in a semi-final this morning, and now we've got the 6 in the final.
Yeah, thank you for that, Digger. I'm looking at the wrong page.
So
You're a bit slow, Jack.
They're shearing 5 different breeds of sheep.
Yep.
And Jack, they've got 5 different breeds of sheep, but they're only allowed 3 hand pieces. So they've got 3 types of combs on there. They've obviously got a comb for the merinos. So what are they? How are they going to balance it?
So the 5 wool types, there's merinos, Corriedales, full wool, second shear and lambs. Now generally going by how the sheep are shearing this evening, I would say they'll go 1 comb for the Corriedales and full wool, being a little bit thicker, maybe a little bit sharper to get into the dense entry. And for the second shear and lambs, it'll be a very similar comb, probably a little bit thinner, a little bit more ball on the point. But there's 5 competitions we have to do during the whole season to qualify for this, which is Alexandra on the merinos, Waimate on the full wool, Christchurch on Corriedales. We shear lambs in the heats at Masterton, and the second shear at Paietua, which was last weekend. So they take the top 12 shearers out of that circuit. We have a semi-final, which was Saturday afternoon here, and tonight we have the top 6 up for you. And on stand number 1, we have the young gun from Matoda, Brett Roberts. He's been starting to come up through the grades very well. He's been in the Open about 4 seasons, starting to peak good. This is his 2nd time in this big PGG final. And on stand number 2, Dig?
Nathan Stratford, one of my favourite shearers. He's won this event numerous times before, shears a lot of merinos, and if he's up with the pace when they've finished the merinos, I'd be trying to get some money on him at the TAB.
From a non-betting man, that's
From
pretty
a non-betting man. And on stand 3, defending champ Pirata Abraham, Jack.
Yeah, Pies, he's a renowned speed shearing specialist. However, last year he pulled off the big one. It was his 2nd Open title he had ever won. He happened to win one of the biggest Open finals on earth, which is this PGG Wrightson's National Shearing Circuit. Pies did very well, and he'll be hoping to take that nice Hyundai car home again tonight. Let's see if he can pull it off. But on stand 4, another very good merino and fine wool shearer is Troy Piper, also very experienced on the crossbreds. He's made the Open final here before. Troy's from Amberley down in Canterbury. He's been shearing about 20 years, Dig.
That's right, and I was talking to Troy just earlier, and he had the misfortune in the Open semis to just miss out. He cut one just bad enough, and it cost him getting into the final. But he said his main focus this year, he's really looking forward to this PGG. So another one who will be hard to beat. And on stand 5, Aaron Haynes. Aaron, more of a crossbred shearer, Jack?
Yep, he would arguably be one of the fittest men on tour. Aaron Haynes, 32 years of age, I believe. He's been in the Open for a good 12 years, very experienced, been 2nd at the Open twice. And on stand 6, Angus Moore of Seddon from the top of the South Island. But they're underway, folks. Brett Roberts flicks out the belly wall of merino number 1. These boys will want to get settled into the pace pretty good. Brett's found some nice hand speed. 2 shots down into the hip and 2 or 3 shots over that backbone. 3 blows, there he goes. Top knot off for Brett Roberts, otherwise known as Corny from Matoda.
So this is a real marathon of shearing, because it's probably going to take them 15 sheep. It's probably going to take them maybe well over 20 minutes. Most Open finals are done sort of around about that 17 to 18 minutes, so a real test of stamina. some of these boys have got to come back and shear 3 times tonight, I think. Maybe, or 2 in them anyway. We'll see Troy later on in the Trans-Tasman. Nathan, is he in the Trans-Tasman team?
Yes. Nathan Stratford
He's in the New Zealand team. So Nathan's got 3 shears tonight. So he'll be a busy boy.
Big night for them.
Nathan Stratford, though, he's pushing along very well. He's into the long blow. A little bit, he's about 2 shots behind Angus Moore on stand 6. Corny, Brett Roberts into the long blow, but the old master, Nathan Stratford, clears down that wrinkle, shooting over that last shoulder. He's setting off to a good pace on stand number 2.
I'll tell you what, I bet you it's humming down in Matara, down at the pub there, or the rugby club. They'll be jumping up and down, seeing their own Brett Roberts up in the final. Great to see him up there tonight. Young fella coming through. Top speed shearer, and he's had a couple of, last year I believe he won a couple of big shows in the South Island, and he's consistently getting places down there in all the shows. It looks like it's Troy Piper, Angus Moore, and Nathan Stratford, Wairarapa. They've all got number 2 Merino on the board.
There we go, good shot of Nathan Stratford on stand 2, the renowned Inky Pinky shearer. Very experienced. I think he's won this title 5 or 6 times, maybe a few more than that. And certainly if he's up with the pace, he's going to be the man to watch. He's into the undermine now, alongside Wairarapa Abraham, blow for blow, but just a little bit in front is Troy Piper and Angus Moore. They've already broken that neck wall open. Nathan Stratford, though, very good technique around those horns. You'll notice he's using his top tooth to get below and his bottom tooth to get on top of that horn.
Just look at the wrinkle on that sheep of Nathan's. We've just gone off there now. We're watching Wairarapa Abraham, defending champ. Just half combing up around that neck, trying to get in and out of the wrinkle.
He's a crowd favourite, local man from Masterton. There's never been a local man win the Open title, but we've got David Buick in there tonight. Wairarapa, he was in the Open final a few years ago, but he's been consistently making this PGG final, putting in a lot of effort through the South Island and Otago, shearing the big bad Merinos, and of course he's been to Australia several times. Current New Zealand team member to, I think it was Bendigo last year, where the Australians pipped the Kiwis again, but tonight they've got the big challenge up next. So Pies, he's doing very well on this Merino.
His board's just with the graphics coming up on screen there, his board's just a little bit higher, but that's probably to be expected with the boys that don't share as many Merinos as someone like Nathan or Troy. But, you know, once they hit the crossbreds and the long wool, Wairarapa will come into his own. Certainly have the speed if he's up there with the pace after these Merinos. Just looking at Troy Piper now. Troy shears up around the North Canterbury region when he's not in Australia. And he's the sort of shearer that just loves tough sheep. Tougher the better, the better he goes. And he's just look at Troy's board. Really, really good. Just using that experience. And hey, I'm going to come off the fence, Mavis, and I'm picking Troy to win this one tonight.
Well, that's very cool because he's certainly putting every effort into it. And as you said, he's the kind of shearer that the hard stuff doesn't scare him. In fact, he probably welcomes it.
He's what you call a contractor's dream. You get a lot of shearers, they moan because the sheep are a bit tough, or I don't want to go to that shed because they're too big. Troy just goes there and he just works and gets into them and goes home happy as. So yeah, a real contractor's dream.
Yeah, just looking at the sheep dig that Troy's got here, that had an absolutely beautiful neck on it. There was no wrinkle. You could see Troy just smoked straight up there, broke the wool open. I can't see any second cuts coming off. So Troy's going to make a very big lead on this sheep. He's into the long blow already, starting to pull away from the rest of the field. So Troy's certainly got the bit between his teeth, gaining a bit of confidence.
I just think you better look down the board, Jack. Angus Moore down there on stand 6. He's actually in front, about 4 or 5 blows in front of Troy. So we'll get down. There we are with Angus Moore down on stand 6. And look at Angus's board. He's another Merino specialist from the Blenheim area, down there in Marlborough. So in goes Angus Moore. 5 Merinos, 4 Merinos, no, 3 Merinos. So he is into his Corridales, and he's using the same comb. I don't think he changed the handpiece, Jack.
No, I don't think he did. So there you go, folks. It's up to the shearers to select their gear. Angus is very happy with his merino comb. It maybe have been a little bit safer, and he's happy to use it on these Corridales. An interesting fact, it wasn't long Angus Moore was out of the senior. I think it was only his 4th or 5th season. He actually won this title, I believe it was 2011. So he was very young when he did it, probably the youngest person to ever win the PGG, and he's really starting to set the pace in this PGG final. Long blow time for Angus Moore. I think the next closest person to him is Troy Piper. He's around the back of the head, so a good healthy lead for Angus on stand 6.
Yeah, and he's got the family here tonight. He's got a tribe of kids, and I think there's about 5 or 6 of them down there. So they'll be jumping up and down for Dad. Go, Dad. Come on. But very talented shearer, young Angus Moore, and he goes in for his second half-breed.
Here we have Aaron Haynes on stand 5. We haven't spoke much about him yet. The young gun, he's like the young Hulk. He has a change of steel on stand 5. He's finished his 3 merinos and now he's in for the Corridales. So he's 2 sheep behind. It's quite a big gap between the first man Angus Moore, but the quality can still pull him back. Let's see what he's got in store.
Yeah, a lot of it in this event comes down to how well you've shorn your merinos, because you can just lose so many faults on them. So if you've made a good job on those merinos, you can certainly make up some time points later on.
So still out in front at the moment, it looks like Angus Moore on stand 6. He's into the long blow first. Wairarapa Abraham of Masterton. He is up the neck and into the base of the ear. But it's Angus. He's setting the pace early. 2 sheep around Aaron Haynes. And Troy Piper's starting to come back into the picture a little bit. He's down into the long blow. There we go, a good widescreen shot. You can see the pace at the moment. Brett Roberts of Matota. He's got sheep number 5 on the board. Little bit back off the pace. Brett, very good merino shearer though, so he could still have the job. Last side time for Angus Moore.
Just looking at the graphics that have come up in the top right hand corner, and it's Angus who's just in front from Nathan Stratford, but it says he's 0.1 in front, but he's probably actually closer to half a point in front, because Nathan's still got half the last side of his sheep to shear. So Angus is going really, really well.
So you can see at the moment Angus currently has the best board score of 1.3 out of the 6 shearers. Now with him being the fastest at the moment too, he's in a very strong position to take home this title. If he can keep this up, I think my money would be on Angus tonight, Digger.
Well, I'm going to stick with my man Troy. He's still sitting in there. There's not a lot in it. Probably the only one who's just up a little bit is Wairarapa. He's probably just his board's letting him down a bit. But there's not much in it between the other 5 shearers.
I don't think there's much in it either with Nathan. Stratty's right there. He's not too far away.
Yeah, Nathan Stratford back on the board with Corridale number 3. It's his 6th sheep in this 15 sheep final. He's working around into that front shoulder. Brett Roberts, there you go, good shot of him. He's into the undermine, not too far behind the other Southlander.
So you're picking Nathan to win, Mavis? Hey, I thought you'd be supporting the local boy, being a Wairarapa girl.
Of course, Wairarata's certainly got as much chance as any, but at the moment it kind of looks like with Angus and Troy and Nathan, might be a bit dodgy.
Yeah, I think
might be a bit tough.
Just the way it's heading, we could be one of those 3, but we can't discount any of the other boys. Look at big Brett Roberts down here on stand 1. He's not far off the pace.
He's always impressive to watch too.
Yeah, Brett's got a beautiful hand. He's a very nice shearer, especially for such a young one. He's come up extremely strong through the grades. But now we've got a good, nice wide pan of the shearer, folks. And in fact, we have a new leader in the speed stakes, which is Wairarapa Abraham, your local gun from Masterton. He's down the last side on sheep number 7. That is his first full wool in this final. One more shot for him. He shoots in the pen for sheep number 8. Angus Moore, he pops that one down the porthole. He's probably 5 seconds back, so there's still nothing in it, folks. Wairarata's board just sneaking away from him a little bit.
Yeah.
Angus and Stratty still holding it together, so there's a lot going to come into it from out the back, ladies and gentlemen, with the quality from the judges.
Tell you what, there's a power of wool on those ewes with the full wool. They'd be clipping, what, close to 5 kilos, 4 kilos, Jack?
Yeah, definitely I'd say 4. 12 months wool on these ewes, and the wool cover is very immense. You can see Pairata working under the shoulder there.
So for the audience out there, those who don't know, we have a set of judges here, and they're judging second cuts, or where you cut the fibre in half. And then there's a whole new set of judges outside down the back who will then be cutting penalties, if you like, on any ridges left, on any skin cuts or scratches. So, you know, what we see here is a big part of the story, but it's not the whole story.
No, so it works very simple, ladies and gentlemen. On the board, the judges are looking for second cuts. Now, if the wool has to be cut in one clean stroke. Now, if you cut the wool twice, that is a penalty point, which is why the judges click the button on the board. So it's a very simple system, and out the back, the sheep get scrutinised by professional judges. They're looking for skin cuts and any wool left on. Now, these are the top 6 shearers in New Zealand tonight, so I'm expecting the quality to be very high.
Yeah.
First along though, Pairata Abraham, he's still in front. His third and final full wool on the board, sheep number 9.
He's just opening up a little bit of a gap, isn't he, over Angus Moore and Troy Piper. He's probably got 6 or 7 blows on Angus Moore.
Pairata down the last side, Angus Moore, he's at the top of the shoulder.
I'll tell you what, Pairata was a defending champ, but at the last qualifying show at Paetua, he actually wasn't in the top 12. He needed to top qualify at the show and hope that a couple of the other guys didn't pick up too many points. So he did get it, he top qualified, got his 12 points, and then the 2 guys or 1 guy that he needed to beat didn't quite have such a good shear, so he snuck in 12th place and qualified. And then in the semi-final today, he was 6th qualifier into the final, so he's riding his luck a little bit, but he's giving it everything he's got tonight, and he's building on that lead. He's coming down the last side as Angus Moore just dropping into the long blow. But Brett Roberts down on stand 1. He's got a good board, Brett, just below the average. Just finishing off his last long wool there. He's done a change for his second shear. Change a handpiece for him.
So this is where Brett will probably start coming into his own, folks. He has won 2 very big titles on the crossbreds, on the second shear and the lambs. So you just watch him start to open these shoulders now. 1 big shot into that undermine. Beautiful shearing from Brett Roberts. 2 big strokes over that backbone. Nathan Stratford, he's a little bit in front of him at the moment. Another interesting stat, folks, you can see Pairata's board is just starting to sneak away on him, and the other 5 contenders in the final are very, very close on the board scores at the moment. So there's not a lot in it without the front judging, but if you're going off the speed stakes at the moment, it is still Pairata Abraham. Long blow time on sheep number 11 digger.
Yeah, there's certainly not a lot in it on the board. Nothing between Angus, Troy. Angus just going up around the back of the head. Troy just starting the belly. Nathan Stratford, he's not far away. Number 11 on the board for Stratty. So yeah, it's Mavis's pick might be coming to fruition.
Pairata though, finishing touches for him. Sheep 12 on the board. This is his last second shear ewe, last second shear two-tooth. Surprised he's certainly found the rhythm now. He says to hell with everyone else, I want to be first off, this is my hometown.
Yeah, and then he's got 3 lambs to come home on and 2, and it'll be hard to pick up on those lambs because he is one of the best lamb shearers around, young Pairata.
So guys, just a question. Pairata's board points are really sneaking up, you know, probably more so than he would have liked. He would know that, wouldn't he? He'd know that he's sort of starting to probably push himself out of contention. Is that when you put the hammer down and make speed the, you know, part of your strategy?
I think Pies could be playing a slightly different tactic here. If you look at the points, he's on 5.8, say, compared to Nathan Stratford on 2.5. Just over 3 points difference now. In time stakes, that is about 1 minute, 3 whole points.
Yeah.
So if Pairata can put a whole sheep around Nathan Stratford, he will balance up the board points with speed. Then you go out back and it's down to the judges outside. So Pies is just trying to apply a bit more pressure to the rest of the field
Yeah.
and trying to take off and just trying to put the other boys under that much pressure, they start making mistakes. So Wairarapa though, here come the lambs. Sheep 13 on the board, 2 left in the pen. Angus Moore, he's starting to pick up the pace though, he's not too far behind. Wairarapa, Angus flicks the belly wall out. Aaron Haynes is a bit back off the pace, I think he's had a few tough sheep. He's on number 11. Wairarapa though, he turns for home digger.
Wairarapa's he's going to need a good time advantage, I think, to just pull back those penalty points that he's incurring on the board. And then, as you say, it's going to come down to out the back, but he's in for number 14. Nathan Stratford just starting. He's on number 13. Brett Roberts finishing off number 12. But there's not a lot in it between time stakes between Wairarapa and Angus at the moment. Angus just coming down the last side, but they're on lambs, so they'll be shearing them in about 40 seconds each. So Angus is probably only about 20 seconds behind Wairarapa, which is 1 point. But he's got a better board than Wairarapa.
So 2 shearers on sheep 14, folks. That's Wairarapa Abraham and Angus Moore. Wairarapa now, he is exactly 1 whole sheep ahead of Nathan Stratford, so those board points could cancel out by the time they both hit the red button. On the screen now though, Wairarapa, 1 more shot. He's in his pen for his last sheep, ladies and gentlemen. The locals will be going wild.
I'll tell you what, Masterton will go off tonight if Wairarapa can pull this one off. She'll be a big night over at the Horseshoe, no doubt.
Wairarapa absolutely fires that belly wool out. All the lamb slipped out of his legs. Got it back under control. There's a lot of wool on these lambs, Dig. I'd say they're a Texel cross. I reckon these would be clipping about 1.5 kilos. That is a lot of wool for lambs.
Yeah, they're big lambs, all right, Jack. About the size of some of the ewes we shear up in the King Country, I suppose.
Yeah, Wairarapa Abraham though, he's absolutely loving it, folks. Look at him go over that last shoulder. He's got about another 8 seconds and he will finish first in this PGG Wrightson's National Shearing Final. 1 more shot and Wairarapa Abraham gets the red button first, ladies and gentlemen. 60.77 total time points and board points.
Yeah, so now we're going to focus on Angus down there on stand 6. He's going to be the second one finished. And no doubt he'll have a good job on those merinos and half-breeds, I'd say. So just has he done enough on the crossbreds to try and make up those points on Wairarapa?
He's got an exceptional board.
He's in a very strong position as Angus, 59 points flat. So he's 1.8 points better than Wairarapa before we go out the back. It's a very healthy lead. Next along though, sheep 15 is going to be Nathan Stratford, I believe. Stand number 2, Stratty's over that last shoulder. Ooh, Aaron Haynes on 14. Troy Piper, he's over that last shoulder on 15.
And you just look at Stratty's points. He's just clicked up to 60, so he's only 1 point behind Angus. And Nathan Stratford, renowned for his quality. I showed him everything I knew.
Brett Roberts goes out too, and Troy Piper.
So yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to change my mind. I don't know who's going to win that. Mavis?
No, well, it's not for us to know, is it really? Not right at this very point in time. So we're just waiting. Aaron Haynes is on the last sheep, so he'll dispatch that as quickly as he can. This is a lamb. He's used to these sort of these animals, so he'll be doing his best. But like you said before, Diggy, you get to a certain point and then everything just starts to ache.
Yep, he'll be feeling the fatigue. What's he been up there? Close on 20 minutes. And just over the 20 minutes for Aaron. So yeah, it'll be hurting a little bit, but as Jack said, he is one of the fittest shearers around in New Zealand at the moment.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Haynes has just finished. So between the 6 shearers on the board, there is only 5 whole points that separate the lot of them. So it's a very close final for the PGG.
And that's without the outside points, the outside judging points, which will be calculated and part of the presentation later on this evening. But that's a fabulous, as the boys have mentioned, a fabulous event. That's almost like the super marathon. This is the Ironman of shearing. And the winner of this tonight not only receives cash, but also receives 12 months lease of the Hyundai Santa Fe. You can't ask for too much more than that. The other thing that comes with this is the McSkimming Memorial Trophy, and that's pretty special too, especially for the McSkimming family from Central.
Oh, it's a huge trophy in honour of the McSkimming family, and great to see Lane and Willie here for the 60th.
Yes, yeah. Haven't seen them for a little while, so it's nice to see them back. You're absolutely right, Digger. Okay, so that's the conclusion of the PGG Wrightson's National Circuit Shearing Final. There's a presentation that's going to be occurring in the stadium, so why don't we cut to that, and we'll be back shortly for the Lister Shearing, Trans-Tasman Shearing Final test.
Continue to work to rise above the competition. We pride ourselves on being better, on doing our best to build on our hard-earned reputation every day. Since 1999, we've had a dedicated team of country experts whose skills and know-how have made us leaders in the field. We represent every sector of the rural landscape, from large-scale farms, stations, forestry, vineyards and specialty rural properties to lifestyle blocks and homes in the country. And we treat every single one with our
from all around the world that is entirely dependent on the support of volunteers. And so we have a very special item here tonight to acknowledge some of those. And to do this, I'd like to invite onto the board the President of Golden Shears, Sam Saunders, and past President and past World Shearing Council Chair, Greg Herrick.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We come to the first formal part of our program tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this magnificent night as we celebrate 60 years of Golden Shears. Golden Shears acknowledges her presence in the stadium tonight. The Prime Minister, of New Zealand, the Right Honourable Miss Jacinda Ardern. Welcome, Prime Minister. Thank you for your company and being part of Golden Shears. Great to see you here. We also welcome, of course, the Mayor of Masterton, Mrs. Lynn Patterson. Thank you, Lynn, for your company. Thank you for all the support of Golden Shears over many years. For those of you who have a program, there is a story written by Mr. Edwin O'Hara, a life member of Golden Shears. The first paragraph is very poignant and relevant as we honour 3 gentlemen who have each given over 50 years of service to Golden Shears. The paragraph simply reads, the beginning. What is it that sparks the imagination and gives people the drive and the determination to make things happen? The answer, I believe, it is men like Gavin Tankersley, Murray Tomlin, Bruce Christensen, who over 50 years ago had the passion, had the dreams, and weren't afraid of the unknown, weren't afraid of hard work throughout the years to make Golden Shears this great iconic event as it is today. If you young people out there tonight can answer that question, as you live your lives, one day you also shall be acknowledged by society. So give it some thought, all you young ones. Tonight, Golden Shears pays tribute, acknowledges and honours 3 special members for their contribution and services to Golden Shears over 50 years. I would like to call the first recipient to the board, Mr. Gavin Tankersley. Okay, a familiar face is Gavin. Gavin started tipping sheep for Golden Shears when he was 17 years old in 1968. He belonged to the Masterton Young Farmers Club. Elected to the Golden Shears Committee in 1978, Gavin was part of an instrumental team that organised the Miss Golden Shears contest back in the mid-70s, right through to the 1980s. I'm sure many of you out there will remember the Miss Golden Shears events. Gavin was elected president of Golden Shears from 1992 to 1997. He is a life member of Golden Shears and is the current chairman of the Woolshed Museum after 20 years on their committee. We also acknowledge Gavin's wife, Linda. If you're watching on the live streaming, Linda, thank you. Thank you for sharing Gavin over the years, and thank you for being part of Golden Shears as well with your loyalty. Ladies and gentlemen, give Gavin a big hand. The second recipient to receive their badge of honour as such, Mr. Murray Tomlin. Murray, would you come forward, please? Murray started tipping sheep in the yards when he was 19 years old. He belonged to the Wairarapa Young Farmers Club. Elected onto General Committee in 1977, Murray coordinated the YFC woolhandling competitions at Golden Shears for many years. He was instrumental in starting the Trans-Tasman woolhandling tests and brought them into the stadium. A lot of the woolhandling competitions were held out there in the wool sheds, so you woolhandlers out there, thank that man there for bringing them into the stadium. Murray is a life member of Golden Shears and is currently the treasurer of the Woolshed Museum, which he has served on for 20 years. Murray, we also acknowledge your wife Lucinda down there. Thank you, Lucinda, for sharing Murray and your loyalty to Golden Shears as well. Our third recipient to receive their badge of honour, Bruce Christensen. Up you come, Bruce. Bruce started in the pens out the back there way back in 1965. And you know, he was only just 15 years old. Bruce said he used to tip sheep And back in those days, there was a tent, a sort of a marquee out the back. There was no concrete, no grating like we know it today. It was all on bare metal and stones. He said it was really hard going. When he tipped the sheep up, they'd skid out with the stones. So way back, he was just probably a young man, a boy, 15 years old. He was elected to the Golden Shears Committee in the late 1970s. Bruce helped with the pressing of the wool back in the foyer, back in those days, for many years. He helped control the wool movement of the front stage here for 12 years, organised the committee bar through many years, and after 20-odd years has personally trucked all the wool from the stadium to the wool stores, which he still does today. What an amazing achievement. Bruce is one of those unsung heroes, never won for the front stage or to be up on the executive or anything like that. We also acknowledge Rosemary, his wife. Thank you, Rosemary, for sharing Bruce with us, your commitment over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Bruce Christensen. It is a rare accomplishment to have 50 years of service, absolutely marvellous. There's only 8 people, 8 gentlemen that have received this award. I would like to call the other 4 or 5 up if they're around. I know Mr. Bruce Arcus is very fragile, very frail, but I see Mr. Laurie Keats. Laurie, would you like to come forward, please, sir, and take a seat? Laurie, of course, is the patron of Golden Shears, and I believe Laurie is one of the only original people with that dream of forming Golden Shears still alive. All those original ones back in 1960 have gone. So there we go. Thank Laurie. Here he is. Mr. Edwin O'Hara, would you like to come up too, please? Edwin's a past president, received his 50th Medal of Honour a year ago. Well done, Edwin. Thank you very much. Mr. Ian Scotty Stewart, would you like to come up, please, Scotty? Scotty is so well known. He's the man that puts all the flags up, still works like anything here. These are amazing people. Mr. Selwyn Tomlin. Selwyn, would you come up, please? There we go, Selwyn, the sheep man. Gets all those sheep organised over 50 years. Absolutely incredible. And Mr. Bruce Arcus, I can't see Bruce anywhere. Bruce was a timekeeper up the back there. Hardly missed a Golden Shears over 50 to 60 years. What an incredible feat. So we finalise, ladies and gentlemen, these 8 men here, without their input back in those early years, I'm not sure we'd be sitting here tonight. So give them the big hand they deserve. Thank you, guys. There's gift packs here, kindly sponsored by FMG. I think they deserve it, something, don't they, over 50 to 60 years of service. So thank you, FMG. Thank you, gentlemen. I presume we've got all the photographic shots, have we? And of course, thank you to our President of Golden Shears, Mr. Sam Thraundis. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a big hand as they exit.
best possible result for our clients. That's why we're the nation's #1 rural real estate brand. Bailey's Country. We're altogether better.
Guys, we've got it pretty professional about it. They have tallies they want to hit, and you know, they generally just work to that tally, and well, they know how to do it. They can set themselves at a pace where they know they'll be within 1 or 2 sheep. It's bloody impressive how they do that, I reckon. I mean, it's bloody hard work though. I mean, they're running a marathon every day.
My main message to farmers would be good toilets, good facilities, maintenance, keeping the maintenance up for everybody. That includes like catching pen gates and holes in walls and springs on doors. It's just common sense stuff. That's all shearers want.
When I was still shearing, I walked into a shed one night about 9 o'clock down in Hunterville, and the place was just gleaming, and it was polished and everything was just gleaming in the shed. It was the first time I'd been there, and I thought to myself, sure, I've got to do a good job here, mate.
Business, it's all about the people. If we don't have good people, well trained, with good facilities, good resources and